So we're going to replace the seal on that puppy. And you need a piece of pipe, some kind of dead blow hammer. Cheap one I got, works really well for that. Some silicone spray is optional, but I like it. And a really big ass screwdriver. If you have an air gun, use it. It's going to make your life so much easier. Otherwise, a standard 6mm Allen wrench would be fine. Here I've got a 6mm Allen wrench on there. And so I think that's really all I need. Oh, and a little screwdriver, and I'll show you that in a minute why I need that. Now, I went to the store and took the seal with me, and picked up this piece of 1.5-inch PVC pipe. So I don't know, take it with you if you don't have one of these laying around, because you're going to need something to drive the seal back in, and this works well for that. It just fits inside of here. In fact, I had to sand it down a little bit here because it was too much of a friction fit. But the nice part about that is, and here's the old one, which I had to dig out. The nice part is it just fits. So it's just slightly smaller than the seal. So that works out well. Otherwise, something like this would work. But since I have this, I'll put this back on and then drive the seal in. Otherwise, if you're going to use just a socket that you have or something short like that, put the seal in, then put the shaft in. Right? You can theoretically do this without taking the shock apart, but I'm going to so I can clean it, number one. And number two, it just makes it a lot easier to get out. However, if you, once you get the gator boot off, you can get a pick, like one of those automotive picks that look like dental picks. You get one of those and just pry it all the way around and pull the seal off. It's only held in there by one clip, which I'll show you in a minute. So once you get it off, then you can slide the new one on. You don't have to take them apart, but I am, because I want to inspect the springs and everything else and make sure everything's good. Now, what you can do is, if you take your forks off, you'll have to actually. So prop your bike up on the center stand and use the car jack to kind of put all your leverage in the back. Get that front tire off the ground. Remove the front tire and remove the front fender and the brakes. And the brakes can just be, just hang there. It's not going to hurt anything. Then you can just do one side at a time. You do not have to, obviously, you do not have to take both off at the same time. You got a bolt up here on the top of your forks. Loosen it before you take it off the bike. Draining the forks would be ideal. In fact, I did that with these, but there was still oil that came out. So not a big deal, but because there wasn't a lot of it, but certainly something you want to keep track of. So I just wanted to get something to put these bolts in so I don't lose them. Yep, got my French roast coffee. And it's 55 degrees out there today. I should be out there riding my bike. But since I can't, actually it's probably good that I'm not. It's the roads are still salty and gritty, and it's best if you don't get out on your bike. I mean, I understand why people are doing it, but you're just begging to have to clean it, and it's after tomorrow, I think, it's going to be too cold again to wash them, so your bike will wind up sitting there for a couple months with salt on it. Not something I like so much. So we'll take that off. And then I need to get the gator off, so I'm just pinching the bottom of it with my two fingers to try and get a gap like that so I can pry up on it and not have the screwdriver poke a hole in. It seems to work pretty well for the most part. I also rounded this screwdriver. It's only for this sort of thing. I I don't use it for anything else. So then the gator comes off. This one's dry. This one was soaking wet. I don't know if you can see that, but so obviously the seal was gone on this side pretty badly. But I'm leaving those off because I'm going to wash those in some Sonic vinegar. And so I should theoretically replace these shafts, but if you rub your finger across here, other than it's slightly less slippery here than here, you don't really notice a difference. So I'm just going to leave those on. Plus, your fork doesn't go down that far. It's only going to go maybe to here. So this up here is just irrelevant. This is just the part that sits in the triple tree. So as long as this goes in the triple tree, I'm fine with that. Let me take the top of this, take this top bolt off. Now on these older bikes, 550s, 400s, I think up to the 600s, the spring does not compress a lot. So I can take this off and it's not going to shoot, the spring isn't going to shoot out after me. It just comes off. If this were on the bike, if there were pressure pushing down on the fork, then yeah, this would cause that cap to just spring off. Let's see if I can. I probably should back this up a little bit. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, if this were pressure on the spring, then this would go flying off. So if you ever take this off on the bike while it's while there's pressure on the front end, just put a rag over this as you loosen it, and when the spring pushes it out, it won't fly off on you. It'll just go into the rag. So now the fun part is there's a clip in here that you have to remove. See if I can find it because it's really difficult to see. But it's real easy to get off. You just got to get it started. There we go. So, and that's all that's holding that seal in. On some bikes, that's actually a C-clip, and you'll need pliers, but in this particular case, no. So now, the next thing is, in my case, because I do want to disassemble this and clean it and whatever, I'm going to take the bottom off, and there's a 6mm Allen on the bottom here. Okay, so this was my bad in this case. I did this on the last one and I should have remembered and I forgot. Basically, you want to leave the spring in while you're taking that bolt off the bottom of the fork out of here, because that's what puts pressure on there. So now the part that it's screwed into is just spinning. But if you leave the spring in, that keeps it from spinning. So I'm going to go do that and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so pair of gloves, and about 15 minutes later I finally got the bolt to come out. So it's got a little bit of hair on it, which tells me, metal hair, which tells me that the bottom thread gave out. So I'll have to clean that up before I put it back on. But then that removes that, and then what you have left over, yeah, there we go, is this piece in the bottom. So how this works is this piece screws into here, or slides on, so this is on the bottom, right? So this is on the bottom, this comes in from the bottom, this part goes in here, and this screws into this shaft, and this is how the fork, you know, how it is in here, right? So, and now, let's see if I can, oh, yeah, I've got to remove this bolt up here, keep forgetting. Had to get a new pair of gloves because just trying to hold on to this thing while I spun that Allen bolt out of there. Caused my gloves to get all tore up. Which, I suppose. So the more compressed springs, so you'll notice that these are tighter wound here than up here. These go on the bottom, so you just have to kind of remember that. And now this, there we go, comes out of there. Now I'm going to clean that out, and then I'm going to clean this out. There's also a seal here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a little, I think it's Bakelite maybe, seal. It's not plastic, but it's tougher than just like a regular rubber seal, right? Anyway, they're good. I've checked them. They fit in there snugly, and they're not chewed up or anything. So we just clean that up before I put it back in, and then we'll be in good shape. So now, the part we're here for, the seal, which is here. So what I'm going to do is take it over to the vise and just get in here and pry down on it. Now, you have to be careful. You obviously don't want to chew up the lip here. And since this is obviously aluminum, and this isn't, it could be a problem. So what I try to do is grab just a little bit of the seal so that this flat part here is actually on there. And then I just do a little bit on each side and just kind of work my way around until it pops out. Even doing that though, I did manage to screw up this one pretty good. So anyway, that part's pretty self-explanatory, so I'll bring you back once I get that seal off. So I did get it out, finally. I had to practically tear it apart. One of the problems is it got corroded in here, and because these forks spent a lot of time underwater, a couple of years underwater, that's one of the other reasons I want to take it apart. That's also why there's so much rust on the fork there. So now I'm just going to clean it out with some brake cleaner, or I don't know, some carb cleaner, something that I can spray in there and clean it out with, and get a rag in there and soak it. And then I'll put it back together. Well, I'll show you that part. When you put the new rings in, there's going to be a flat side and a beveled side. The flat side's going to go down like this, right? So the beveled side would be here, right? On these particular forks, it doesn't matter that much, but that is what they recommend doing, so that's how I'll do it. And then we'll get into this. But I'm going to take a quick break. Get some coffee in me, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so here's the seal. That's the part number, the Honda OEM part number. If you need it, just need 2 of these. And if you can see, I don't know if it's going to show up, but get out of the light maybe. So there's a flat edge, a sharp edge, and a beveled edge. Right? So the sharp edge goes down. So, but before I do that, I'm going to hit it with a little silicone inside of here, and a little bit on the seal, just on the outside, just to give it some slipperiness, because it is friction fed, and so that'll help, and the silicone eventually evaporates. Get it started by hand, get it you want it as level as possible, which I've already screwed up. What I've done is I've taken I think it's 1x6, drilled a couple of holes and then stuck the bottom half of the fork in there, and that seems to hold it up real good. And then I can clean it out with some spray, which I did. That's what this is, some cleaner. And then you can get it started. Let's see, it just doesn't want to cooperate today. It'd be nice if the bevel side went down first, because that sure would help. But according to the manual I got there, it does not. No. I don't want to give it too much of a tap. The nice part is this has a nice square edge on it, and let me see. Can you see that? I don't know, maybe. Anyway, it has a nice square edge to it. This does. So I can get it flat up to the point of this lip. After that, that's about it, because now this part of the hammer is hitting this lip. So that's what I need this for. Let's do that. Now, I could have the rest of the fork together. That's what I did with the other one, and it worked out well. But and this is make no mistake, this is a friction fit. Whoa. There we go. It wants to walk, so I didn't have this much problem with the other side. But this side might be had a little more water damage than the other side too. And you just need it to go far enough down so that this clip can hold it down. So keep at it. See, I think that might be it. I gotta get my glasses on them. Over 50 eyes, that sort of thing. Yeah, there's a little lip in here, and as you're driving this down, you can hear it. It kind of, when it stops, it goes from a sort of a hollow sound to a thud when you hit it. It's more of a two pieces of material contacting each other. It's hard to explain, but you'll know it when you hear it. Don't be too afraid. These things do can take quite the pounding. I mean, you don't want to go crazy, but there we go. Now it's getting there. A little bit more to go, I think. I have just a little bit more. Just about there. Get that. All right, a little bit more. think. Yeah. Okay, so yeah. Second here. Yeah, hang on. Okay, sorry I have to keep cutting it off, but I only have about 10 minutes on the when it's not plugged in before the battery dies, so I try to keep it plugged in as much as possible. But then, yeah, so that's still hard to see, I know, but maybe I throw a little light on it. See, and you can see, you can just make out, I don't know if it's going to show up in the camera, and I can't hold the flashlight in and do this, but there's just a little bit of a lip in there, and okay, and that's what this goes in, so that'll just go in there like that. Anyway, I'll just work it around, and then that's it. And then, so that'll go in. It's like a little plunger. And then this goes in, not like you'd think. It's going to go this way, not this way, which is what you'd think, right? But the bolt that holds all this together is right there. So it goes in this way, right? I'm not going to do it now because I still need to clean this stuff up. And then the fork tube goes in, and then the spring goes in the fork tube. And then when it's all together, take the little screw for the bottom, the little 6mm hex bolt, and run it up in from the bottom. Again, you don't have to do any of this. All you really have to do is, if you leave the forks on in there, the tube's in there, because like I said, I took mine apart so that I could clean it, but because it did have water in it at some point in its life. You don't have to do any of this. What you can do is just get in here, pry in here. 1 second. Sorry, I don't have one of those automotive picks, but assume this was an automotive pick. You just need to get between the fork tube and the seal, and you can pry it up all the way around. Take it off, put the new one on. If you get one of these, you can just slide it in over the fork tube and then just kind of work it down. Work the new seal down, right? But that should do it. That's all I'm going to do for right now because I got to clean all this up. But then I'm going to put it all back together, and then that's it. I'm done with this for tonight. So, I don't know. Hopefully that helps somebody. If you have any questions, leave me a comment or something. And now that I don't have a job, I have plenty of time to answer them, don't I? Well, soon anyway. So, anyway, talk to you later.